Hey everybody, in this video series we are going to talk about setting up your Poly Studio USB. And the first thing you're going to need is to download the Polycom Companion software. And this software just allows you to do things like set your acoustic fence, decide how fast you want it to track the teacher or whether you want it to be in presenter mode. So I'm going to walk you through the steps of setting that up. But first wanted to show you how to download the software where you can access those features. So on your handout is the link that you'll go to. You'll click this hyperlink right here and you will scroll down and you will select which device you need to download the software to. I'm running it on Windows, but it's the same for Mac. So you will click the link and download the software. When you have the software downloaded, the icon will look like this right here. And when you open it up, it looks like this. Open it up and plug in your studio and you will have this, and we'll discuss the steps for setting up and actually going into your device in the next video. Thanks guys. All right, so now that you have the Polycom Studio Companion app opened up, it's going to, once you plug in your studio to the USB on your laptop, it's going to register that the Polycom Studio is plugged in, and it's going to prompt you to sign in. The username field is automatically defaulted to admin, and so you cannot change that, but it's time to enter the password. And the password is by default Polycom with a capital P 12 pound and money sign. So that is also in your handout, and you could change that once you get in, but you're only going to have to do this at the very beginning of setup. So I would just write that down, keep it in a safe place, keep your handout, and then you'll be ready to go for each of your devices. So agree to the terms and then sign in. All right, and here you are prompted to enter that Polycom password again, and then you can enter a new password. So this is if you want to set it the same for all of your devices, whatever your district normally does. This is where you could either keep it that Polycom 12 hashtag money sign, or you could make a simple password. And again, you'll see I checked simple password. Otherwise, it's going to require all of these credentials. So if I click simple password, I can stick to mine, and I'm going to click confirm. And then here, I'm prompted to select my country. I'm going to go down here, select United States. And you can name the device. Polycom Studio is what I have mine named. If you're going to assign these to certain areas of your school or to certain teachers, certain rooms, you might want to keep a record of that. So if you're going to have multiple of these devices, I suggest maybe naming each device. And then that way, when you plug that device in, you'll know which one you're changing the settings on. However, I will say you're probably going to have the same settings on all of your devices. And once they're set, you're going to be good to go. So I'm going to click next. You can select the Wi-Fi if you want to. I'm going to skip that. Provisioning mode, I'm going to set that to manual. Well, let's see. Let's skip that. And I set it to manual and skipped those steps, and now it says your Polycom Studio USB is ready to use. So once I click finish, I can always go back in and reset any of those settings. So I'm going to click finish. And now I'm at the module where I have lots of different things that I can do. So I have device settings. I have a lot of settings over here, and we'll talk about those. And then up here at the top, I also have a firmware update. And you'll see that my Polycom Studio needs to be updated. So I'm going to go ahead and do that update, and then we'll go back to the device settings. And here you see when I click device settings, I see that this Polycom Studio is the one that's plugged in. This is where those names would come in handy. So if you had Polycom Studio for the library, you would know that that would be the one that you were configuring the settings on. So I'm going to go ahead and do my update, and then we will come back in just a minute and discuss those settings in the device itself. All right, so as the update was being done, you could hear the device plugging in and replugging in as far as you hearing the chime of it starting and restarting up. And you'll see that now there's a check mark and it has been installed. So we are up to date. So I'm going to click device settings and re-click on the device that's plugged in. and I can go to several different settings over here. So you can go to the user settings. That's going to control your camera. You can go to the advanced camera settings and control your brightness. So I can increase that a little bit. And you'll see that it notes in the picture that the brightness came up. You can kind of see a little preview there. And the reason you don't see me is because the studio is actually on the table next to me. So if I move my chair, you can see me in that over there. So right now it's on that presenter tracking, so it's going to slowly zoom into me. But we want to probably put it on that presenter mode where it's moving from back and forth and actually following the teacher around the classroom like a news crew. So right now, if someone else walked in the room, it's going to slowly find them and slowly pan over to them. But the presenter tracking actually allows the camera to follow you around like a news crew as the teacher stands up and goes walking around. So let me show you how to do that setting. The camera control, again, you can set presets if you want to. Go to the advanced camera settings here and kind of play around with it. So here it's trying to find me, it's trying to zoom in on me, but because it's next to me, it's not seeing that. Audio settings, this is where you could set your acoustic fence. So if you have it off, then as long as you're talking and you're still in that radius, it's going to continue to follow you. But you can set different settings here. You could have a wide acoustic fence, and it actually shows you in that 120-degree field of view, it's going to pick up anything in there. If you wanted a narrow acoustic fence, then anything outside of this fence is not going to be heard. So I'm going to set mine to wide. And then you can go to admin settings. And to go to these admin settings, you have to enter the admin password. And then you'll see lots more settings came up under the admin settings. So there's the general settings, the camera tracking. It's on that frame speaker, so I was just showing you that. So it'll slowly zoom into the speaker. You have the tracking speed, the zoom, auto pan, the Wi-Fi settings, Bluetooth, password settings if you wanted to change that. System restart, factory reset. You could always click that if you wanted to and go back to the very beginning and follow the steps like we've been doing from the beginning of this video. And then that presenter mode is actually down here in this lab feature. So I'm going to turn on presenter mode, and now it's on. Now I will note you cannot have conversation mode and presenter mode on at the same time. So it won't let you do both of them. It'll only do one or the other. And you'll see that once that change has been made, you see that green bar that comes up. So conversation mode can only be used when it's frame speaker tracking is on, which means it's going to frame the speaker in the conversation. So if you were at a conference room table and you wanted it to jump or kind of pan to the person who was talking, it would do that because it's a conversation mode. It's going to follow the conversation around. But if you wanted it to only do the presenter, if you're using this in the education spectrum for sure, you would want to use that presenter mode to follow the teacher around the classroom to get her from behind her laptop or in around different areas of the classroom, from centers to focus wall to interactive panel, back to the carpet time to do a read aloud. Anywhere the teacher goes, it's going to follow. So I'm going to turn my presenter mode on, and you'll see the screen box comes up here. So it's saved. If ever anything goes wrong, you could do a diagnostic test on audio, on-screen display, but all of those things are around here. And again, the camera controls, it's now on that presenter mode. So let's see, if I start to talk, it's going to probably try to follow me, and you'll see it's coming to me. And if I walk over here, it's going to follow me. If I walk over here, it's going to follow me. So that presenter mode is now on, whereas a second ago, it was the tracker mode. So it was slowly panning to me, trying to figure out who was talking. But if it's on presenter mode, as long as I'm talking and moving, it's going to follow me seamlessly around the room in that 120-degree field of view. So once these settings are all set, you're good to go. So now I'm going to just close out of the Polycom Companion app. You'll see it went back to a full frame view because it's trying to find me, and I'm actually sitting behind it to the side of it, so it can't actually pick me up. But then I could click the X and I'm ready to go. So now I could unplug this Poly Studio. I just had it plugged into the USB into a power source, and that Poly Studio would be ready to go with those settings in whatever device it was plugged in. So that's a little bit about how to plug in and get your Studio USB started and ready to go in your classroom.